So now we're going to go into part 2 of Vomiting Rainbows. This is episode number 46. I hope you're still with us, and this part is going to be really exciting. So, guess what happened last night?
What happened last night? Wait, do I have to guess?
Do you want to guess?
No, I don't want to. No.
Okay. So, it finally happened. Charles Manson.
He died.
Yeah,
I knew this.
He shuffled off this mortal coil at 83 in Bakerfield's Kern Hospital at 8:15 p.m.
Yeah. Wasn't he with some like young wife?
Yeah, I think that
was years ago.
Yeah, that was years ago.
Weird. I watched some stuff on that.
That was really weird.
Yep.
He had a sigmoid lesion and lower gastrointestinal bleeding, which is basically butt cancer and blood bleeding. So he's dead.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about Manson.
Man, these are two massive stories.
They are. Okay. But we'll go quickly through Manson.
So you're going to cover the whole biography of Charles Manson right now?
No,
I'm not. Part 2 of our show. Okay.
No, I'm just going to talk about like little known facts about Manson. He had 3 kids.
Didn't know that.
One committed suicide because he couldn't handle the fact that he was Charles Manson's child.
Interesting.
And another one changed his name and went off the grid and can't be found.
Wow.
The third finally came out and owned kind of his heritage and said, I was raised by my mother's grandparents and I'm a well-adjusted child and I have nothing to do with like any of the...
Kept his name though.
Yeah, he did. And he actually tried to visit Manson in the hospital and was refused.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't believe him.
Right. So Manson's adopted sister said that Manson was never happy, never up to anything good. He was obsessed with knives and guns, had intense anger problems as a child, and threatened her with a sickle when she was 9.
So he was always out of his mind.
So he's batshit.
Yeah.
So his mom died, his mom was 15 when she had him. She was not a devoted mother. She liked to drink and dance and had no time for him. By the time Charles was 4, she had already been in jail for 5 years for robbery, or she was going away for 5 years for robbery, and he started living on the streets.
Wait, when he was how old?
When, I guess by the
15?
time he was 15? Yeah.
Okay. So he was homeless
or
at 15.
A teenager.
Yeah.
So Manson has 3 or more grandchildren. They're not really sure because he doesn't know exactly how many children
how many
he
kids
had.
he had.
Yeah. So little known facts about Manson are one of the songs that he wrote made it onto a Beach Boys album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had a fleeting friendship with drummer Dennis Wilson. And the band recorded a version of Cease to Exist, which was a Manson song. They retitled it and reworked it. They said heavily reworked it, but...
Now, this was before Manson was known as crazy, murderous...
Exactly.
Okay.
So they reworked it, and it made it into a B-side on the single on Birds Over the Mountain.
Interesting.
He didn't get any writing credit.
Wow. Did he know? Like, is this something that came out eventually and the Beach Boys admitted it? Like, I wonder if he even knew at the time if it was reworked to a certain level, or he must have been contacted as a co-writer to send that music into the Beach Boys.
I think he was on the hit list later for Manson.
Got it.
Like, because he was pissed about it.
Wow.
So obviously they murdered Sharon Tate, but one of the things that I didn't know was they murdered Sharon Tate and her friends by mistake.
Didn't know that. I thought it was all random, though. I thought they were like random houses.
No. So Charles Manson was rejected by record producer Terry Melcher and the son of Doris Day. And he lived in the house that Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski lived in later. So it was his former house. They went in and
thinking that he still lived there,
exactly.
Killed everyone in there.
Exactly.
And it was never him. It was these young kids.
It was
right?
the young kids. So they thought they were like killing who he wanted, but really it was just Sharon Tate.
Oh my God!
They spilled her name on blood, or they spelled pig in blood on the door, and he also he put a gruesome tribute and misspelled Helter Skelter on the wall because he was obsessed with the Beatles.
Right.
So he almost got granted a mistrial because of Nixon. Nixon said that Manson was guilty directly or indirectly. So that the lawyers for him and Manson held up pictures saying like, this is not just, like the president of the country has stepped into the trial. Sound familiar?
Wow. Yeah, sounds almost identical.
Exactly.
Jesus. Wait, but that didn't cause a mistrial.
It did not.
Okay.
He was sentenced
but that was actually one of the lines the lawyers were using.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
He was sentenced to death by the gas chamber, but he was granted his sentence was commuted to life without parole because California abolished capital punishment.
Right.
One of the followers of the Manson family tried to kill Gerald Ford, but her gun jammed. And then
how many followers do they have? I'm not the exact number, but was it like a few or was it dozens?
I think it was like a dozen.
Okay.
It was
more than like 2 or 3.
Oh,
I mean, it was like 5 on the Tate night, right?
And it was mostly women.
Right.
And so she served 34 years in prison. Guns N' Roses covered one of his songs called "Look at Your Game Girl," and he was due $500,000 in royalties, which was going to be paid to him. And one of the victim's sons interjected, sued, and got the money.
Good for them.
Yes,
that would be horrendous if he got paid for that. And it's kind of really stupid of the freaking Guns N' Roses to cover that.
Exactly. One of the things that came out of this was that Sharon Tate's sister petitioned for victims' rights, and now because of her, the victims' families are allowed to stay a statement in court before the verdict is handed down. So
wait, what are you talking about? Oh, this happened back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before that, you weren't allowed to speak out in court.
Oh,
now
for anything. Oh, interesting.
So now the victim's family is allowed to speak to the judge and say this is why he should get the maximum sentence.
That's incredible. For any case at all, or for any murder case?
Any murder case.
That's incredible. And that's nationwide? That's like a federal?
Yeah, that's
wow.
It's in all U.S. territories. So, yeah. That's
Charlie Manson.
Charlie Manson.
What a weird, it's so weird, the whole musical side, because you hear about, it's almost, I don't know, it's almost like you hear randomly people claiming to be fans, because it's like one of the kind of hip things that you could say, because not a lot of people know that he did music, and that was a huge thing. And it's
Marilyn
also
Manson.
Weird. Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. But it's also weird to think that it was like a driving force behind so much of this, it seems. If he was looking for that record producer's house, and if he was, like pursuing that as his outlet and everything, it seems like then the bitterness. But this kid all along was like out of his mind and crazy as a kid all the way through.
Oh, absolutely.
But then the outlet being music and that not working out, or maybe not working out in the way he sees it. And who knows? I always wonder, like, was that all premeditated throughout? And was he like, I'm going to now get these people to do this or is there some combination of him just being totally crazy all along?
Well,
and
his
people
sister
somehow were like captivated by him, which I also don't really understand.
He was apparently very charismatic. Right. And even as a child, his sister said that he would get girls to go beat up bullies that had picked on him.
Beat up bullies?
Yeah. So he
did it his whole life.
Yeah, he did it his whole life. He found girls that were downtrodden, and he would just lead them to attack people.
Wow.
So he did this his entire life.
That is crazy.
And one other thing too is, have you listened to his music?
I think I've heard it it's one of those things, like I've seen all those movies on TBS that play as reruns. I feel like I've heard his music, but I couldn't like pinpoint it. I have an idea of what it sounds like.
I hate to say it, but it's
not bad.
It's not
well,
bad.
That's the whole thing, yeah.
So it's understandable why the Beach Boys would like hear it and be like, okay, we could do something.
Yeah, it's decent and kind of interesting.
Right. And then the last little thing that we were going to go to was just the disappointment that I feel right now. This is not even dark news, but it's just a disappointment that I feel right now, and all the stuff that I've heard of people coming out. Like Charlie Rose was just...
Wait, what?
8 people just came out and said Charlie Rose had sexual misconduct.
Oh my God,
Charlie Rose!
I had no idea. I didn't. You're giving this news to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I said earlier about Franken. I think. Yeah. I mean, and again, I mean, this is absolutely horrible, and they're absolutely horrible for doing this. And it's yeah. I don't know. I don't know where you even begin on the topic, because it's a great example of how this should be taken much more seriously than it is. And I think it's one of the many topics of human existence in 2017 that is mentioned and people act like they care about and act like they're informed, but really when the truth is out there, we're devastatingly uninformed. And even people who know so many people who have been through these instances, you start to scratch your head that almost every woman we all know has been through this, and there's like such a high level problem here that it's I don't even know where you begin, because where do you start building out ways to it is a first step to talk about it, but then like we should be the next step. There should be a next step soon that's actionable.
I think that it's really I think it started with a trickle with the Silicon Valley and a lot of the venture capitalists getting outed as being pervy.
Dave McClure and all that.
Exactly. Yep. And then Harvey Weinstein started like the massive Me Too campaign. And since then, I don't know this guy, celebrity chef John Besh was accused by 25 women. Louis C.K., of course, was accused by 5
Kevin
women.
Spacey.
I didn't know about Kevin Spacey. Oh, yeah, of course, Kevin Spacey. And then actor Richard Dreyfuss.
Didn't know that.
Director Gary Goddard.
Yeah.
Andy Henry. Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is this all coming out like the last couple of days, or is this something that...
This was today's New York Times.
Was Dustin Hoffman?
And
no. Charlie Rose, or was like a list of all these people?
No, this is just a list of accusers, people who have been accused.
Got it.
Robert Knepper? I don't know him. Sure. And Jeremy Piven, Brett Ratner, Chris Savino, Steven Seagal, Tom Sizemore, Jeffrey Tambor, George Takei, James Toback, the creator of Mad Men, Matthew Weiner, actor Ed Westwick.
Well, and so think about this. We're like a month in.
Yeah.
This is probably less than a percentage.
Oh,
like that's what's crazy. And then it's just about like... And it's a good thing. I mean, it's good that now you start seeing that people are speaking up. Hopefully more do, but certainly everyone won't be able to, because it's like an incredibly emotional, difficult, horrible thing. So I don't know. It's like freaky to think.
Yeah, but that. So the list goes on and on. But like the one thing that is really disturbing about this is Donald Trump has made this again yet another divisive issue where has no problem flailing like Al Franken,
right?
But won't even talk about Roy Moore,
right? Or himself.
Yeah. And how has he just skirted under the radar with all this shit? Like, how has he
we can't.
There's like, isn't it like 17 people that accused him or something like that?
Yep. Well, the thing is, he hasn't skidded under the radar. That's been in the forefront, but people just don't care.
Yeah.
Or it's not, obviously it's not bipartisan. It's like half the people care and keep talking about it, but the other half doesn't listen, or the other half doesn't care, or some combination of that. And it's so much farther beyond even politics. It's like this horrible thing that's happening on like almost a universal level to half of the country, half of the world.
Right.
And it's just devastating.
Yeah. So that's the end of our
darkest news that it gets.
I mean, I could go into
nope. We'll talk to you. We'll see you next week. I can't take it anymore.
Okay, so thanks for listening. We welcome your comments, ideas at contact@vomitingrainbows. Find us on We Vomit Rainbows on all social media. Listen on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Rate us, help us grow. And thanks for listening.